Well, officially good morning, everyone. It's Kathy Stevens with Cyber Kazoo, and I am here with our cyber celebrity, John Ordonez. Welcome, John.
Hi, how are you, Kathy? Great pronunciation.
I'm getting better. I'm getting better. John's been trying to teach me Spanish for many, many years, and I'm getting a little better. We're excited to see you guys all here and have lots of things to share with you, so we're going to just jump right in, and I've got Casey here. Let me just show you. Here's his picture. Casey's the king of collaboration. I know a lot of you have worked with him. Good morning, Casey. How are you?
Good morning. Doing well.
Yeah, everything good in your world?
Everything's great in my world. I'm very, very busy.
Always, always, always. Well, we're going to jump right in. I'll show you the agenda quickly of what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about wowing and winning with your website. Then we're going to go to loving your language, idioma, keeping them coming back for more, staying one step ahead of the game, and connecting with class.
Okay.
So this is so much more fun for us if you guys participate.
Hey Kathy.
Yes.
I'm not actually seeing your screen change.
Ah, I'm so sorry. Oh, there we go. There we go.
Yeah, Kathy, you don't have a. There you go.
There we go. Okay. Now everybody's seeing. I'm getting an echo. Casey, can you deal with that? Somebody needs to be muted. They don't know who it is.
Unmuted.
I think I got all
There
of
we
them.
go. Okay, awesome. So this is way more fun if you guys participate. The way that you do that is with the little chat box, and it's down in the bottom. If it's not opened up, there's a little arrow to the left. You just click on that arrow and you can type your message. And Casey's really good about messaging back to you guys as we're talking. It's more fun if you guys play. So please jump in, ask questions. If we don't answer your question right away or ask John your question right away, it may be because we know that's coming in later in the program. So that's how that's all going to work. Let me just jump to, how many leads do you get? You guys all have websites, and I'm kind of presuming that the reason that you have websites is because you want to get leads, right? Not just because it seems like a fun thing to do. So show of hands if you guys can. Oh, Robin gets lots. That's always fun. So how many people get 5 leads a month from their Point 2 website? Anybody out there getting that? No, everybody's getting more? That's good. I know Warren's here. He gets a lot more than that. How many people get 10? Few people getting 10? Anybody get 25? John, yeah, you get way more than 25. 50? Somebody's not getting any. That's not good. We don't want that. We got to fix that. How about 100? Anybody out there getting 100 leads per month? Yeah, Warren. Of course, Warren was our cyber superstar last month, and if anybody wants to listen to his tips and advice, that's on YouTube, our YouTube channel. How would you like, what would you think if you were getting 100, where did the slide go? 107 leads last month. Anybody think that sounds like a good idea? Somebody couldn't handle it. Yeah, you'd have to get a new staff, right? Well, our cyber celebrity, John Ordonez, gets 100+ leads per month from his Point 2 site. And he's agreed to come today and share some of his insights as to how he does that and what his plans are coming up. And John, when you started, you were kind of a one-man show, correct?
That's right. I was just one-man show. It was just me, nobody else.
And were you a big business or a little business?
What was that? I'm sorry?
Were you a big business or a little business?
Little business.
Very, very small business. And,
Yeah.
and what made you think, oh, I should get a website?
You know, in Costa Rica, the real estate business. It's not regulated by the government, so anybody can be a realtor. But that started to change many years ago. And at that time, when I started it, I saw and I started looking at different people, doing the business in the business and offering the service and everything else. And many of them didn't have the website, just nothing. They were just offering properties from a list, I don't know how, and different things. So I decided, I gotta do something different. And I really like technology and things like that. So I said I have to get a website, and I have to get a nice website, and then we started from there.
Okay, well, I have something pretty funny to show you. The website is clearly the foundation, and just like building a house, if you don't have a good foundation, it doesn't matter how pretty your drapes are. And I had a little walk down memory lane this week putting this together, and John and I had a giggle over this morning. This is John's first website. It did have a picture right here. I don't remember what that was, and I wasn't able to find a snapshot. But, yeah, this was in 2011. And what I had forgotten, John, was that in the very beginning, your site was completely bilingual.
Yeah, we started from the beginning. I said we have to have it in Spanish, and then you and me agreed on things, and we started from there, having those two languages. And I think it was a very, very good idea, and I really liked it, and we still have it, so it's great.
And yeah, John's site is very cool. Let me just bring it up. Well, no, we'll go through the slides, and I'll show you here in a minute. John loved the language, and he got the Spanish part from the very, very beginning. And it's something that we struggle with a lot of our clients who are in Spanish-speaking countries, of how important it is to have it available in both languages. And so one of the things that I wanted to show you guys, habla español, is that 32% of John's visitors in the last year have their default set on their computer to Spanish. 30% of your visitors in the last year were on mobile device. Does that surprise you?
Well, I think we checked that before with you. You gave me, that's why we created, and we've been improving the mobile device, the mobile side, because once that we met once, and we were seeing that the number was increasing of people visiting and contacting us through the website, through the mobile website. So it doesn't impress me. It's not, but I think it's very good.
Well, and what I like about John is that he's always the first one on the bandwagon. And his first mobile site, I mean, the technology just was not there. It was very clunky. We did a workaround. Point 2 didn't offer mobile, and so it's really come a long, long, long ways. In February of 2015, we finally went with this sleek and modern look, and that was pretty exciting. And that was also when we were able to actually go back and forth to Spanish as a full menu. And let me just bring that up to show you guys how that works, because I think this is pretty darn impressive. So this is John's site, and when the visitor lands, everything is in English, all the pages, but then they can switch to Spanish, and everything switches to Spanish. So all of the text, one of the things that John has invested in is a lot of text so that the search engines know what his site is about. So every listing page has text. And just the fact that people can go back and forth. It's not like a widget translation. We really sat down and had a professional writer do all of these words, and I think that investment has truly paid off with his search engines, because he's basically been able to double his exposure. So we find that pretty exciting. And then just recently, in February of 2017, John added listings by price and the listings by neighborhood widget, and let me show you guys what that looks like, because that's pretty cool. And you have a lot of price ranges. Do you find any particular one, John, that people are more interested in?
Well, in our case, that we are focused on the high-end properties. I'll say like from 750 to 1 mil is like around that.
Is your most popular?
Yeah, I'll say yes.
Okay, cool, excellent. So one of the things I want you guys to see is that John didn't build the site in 2011. In fact, I'll just go back because that would just be sort of funny. Can you imagine if he was sending people to this site today? Do you think that would be successful?
Oh.
I think not. And so, you know, it's not build it and leave it. It's build and change with the times. And John, what's your motivation behind that?
I really like technology. You know, I was talking the other day with a guy about this. You know, real estate goes together with the technology. I mean, we as real estate agents, brokers in the business, we have to try to, you know, be on top of the technology. There are so many things, new tools, everything. It's very hard because technology, you know, changes like every day, like every hour. It's going to be difficult, but we have to try to be, you know, on top of our effort. You know, we have to try to do the best we can to keep our websites in the best, you know, very, very friendly with the technology, with the latest things. I know it's difficult, and for me with a lot of work and things, it's hard and all that because it's a lot of attention to different details and stuff, but my motivation is that every time I go to, I use a new mobile phone, or every time I use a new tool in the computers and things like that, and then I see that the website doesn't look good, or because something changed, then it's not the best presentation. So I always read about new technology on newspapers around the world, in the United States, in Europe, anything, and then I'll try to implement it. Then I'm always also checking other people's websites, not only in my country, but I look for other websites in different countries. Sometimes I go to New York real estate, sometimes I go to Miami real estate, then I go to Paris real estate, then I go to Germany real estate, and I save the websites that get my attention, and then I try to implement things that I see. And some things that I don't see. Sometimes I see a website that is so nice, and then when I analyze that website with, for example, Kathy, then we see that it's not very friendly, you know, with other stuff. So we ended up just taking the good things. But you know, that's what I do. And my motivation is just that, to be able to offer to the clients the best possible with the technology. You know, in the hand with the technology.
And your site ranks quite well with Google. Why do you think that is?
I think it's because of the listings we get. I really work. I give the same attention, and I always tell my people, my crew in the office, that obviously it's important for us to sell, and the first priority is the clients that are buying. But you know, I come to a point where the listings are as important as a client that is buying. Somebody that is trying to talk to us to sell their property is as important as a buyer. You know, and we try to get that attention to the people. We get nice listings, and from this nice listing, people is starting visiting the website more and looking for us more, and then that is increasing, you know, many other stuff, many other things, and the positions and everything. Obviously, paying also attention to everything else, the content that we always build with Kathy, and new pages. Like, you know, I'm always creating new pages and new stuff, and that's all obviously giving us a good position in the market in Costa Rica.
And John, the last time I looked, you had 98 pages, I think. Does that sound about right, Casey?
Yeah, something like that. I think it was something like that, yeah.
And Casey, can you unmute yourself and just, I know you did some recent changes to John's metadata. Can you explain that just a little bit and why that was important?
Sure. So John has a ton of pages and a lot of listings, and that obviously is going to draw some traffic in and of itself. But what we did by changing the metadata and adding more keywords and sort of descriptions of the pages is it allows him to get credit with Google and other search engines for what is on those pages. So if someone goes to one of his neighborhood pages, say the Atenas page, Google wouldn't necessarily know on its own that people on that page were interested in Atenas real estate, Costa Rica, specific Atenas real estate. So by putting all the meta and keywords there, anytime some traffic shows up there, he gets credit for having that keyword, and that makes him rank higher for that keyword. So now all of his traffic is not only converting into leads, it's helping him draw other traffic by making him rank higher for all of those terms in the search engine. So even one client visiting multiple pages, multiple neighborhoods, it can give him credit for all of these keywords, which is really, really useful in the long term.
Awesome. So I wanted to look and talk a little bit about always keeping them coming back to your site for more, because John, of all of our clients, has really, really excelled in this. And you want to think about getting traffic, but it's not just how much new traffic you can get. It's actually more valuable to have repeat traffic. And so when we were talking about John having 107 leads this month, those are not all new leads. Many of those are people that have been coming back to his site for quite some time. And so if you go to your point to prospects, and I put this nice blue box here so that you all couldn't see John's prospects, exactly who they were, but I wanted you to see the date that they first came in versus the date that they last came in. And I think that one of the places that many agents fall short is they're not interacting with the client unless the client is specifically reaching out to them. So if you look at some of these, November of 2014, this one down at the bottom, yeah, another November, these are people that initially reached out 3 years ago and maybe sent John an email or downloaded something. They did some action that gave him their email address. And they're still coming back to his site. And the process time for people to buy a new home, it's not like a haircut where you're going to get one every 6 weeks. Sometimes there's a very long incubation period. And how do you keep up with that many people over years at a time? And John, maybe you can speak to how long, do people generally buy the first time you meet with them, or is it sometimes 6 months, 2 years? How does that work?
Well, yes, you just said buying a property, it's not one thing that one is going to take just, and one shot, like go and see 2 properties and then decide in those 2, knowing that the market is full of different options. And this is what I tell my people that work with me, because sometimes we want to make sales right away, right away, sell something now or tomorrow or something like that. But I try to put myself in the other people's mind and how hard people save money to buy a property. And I try to understand that, because I am also a buyer. I bought properties that cost me a long time, saving money and many things. So I want to give the service that normally is not offered in the market. Like I don't see myself or the people that work with me, I try to tell them not to see themselves like a sales agent or something. We're going to assist people, we're going to guide people to buy their property, and if it's not now, also, buying a property, even if it's, for their own use or investment or anything, it's got to be, it takes time. People need to see, what the options are, what the good and bad things are about this specific property or about this investment. And sometimes, well, the life changes a lot, so sometimes people want to buy a property in the next month, but then something happened and there's another opportunity for them, or they have to move to another country or something. And so, sometimes I have spent 15 days or 1 week showing properties to a couple, and then they ended up, their job or something changes in their life and they have to do something else. So I take everything as experience, and just be patient and try to give the best service possible to everybody and the best advices I can. And people is going to come back, and when they don't come back, I get a lot of emails, from these clients that I always serve, and they say, listen, I decided not to buy now, but I'm going to refer any clients to you, any of my friends that want to buy, I'm going to send them to you. I don't know if at the end they're going to do it, but at least that's in their mind, and we have a lot of chances for this person to do that once somebody asks for anybody to help, and we get a lot of referrals because of that, and not many agents do that, at least in Costa Rica or I don't know in the business, but we always want to sell as fast as possible, and it takes time. We have to understand that.
Well, and I think this is pretty interesting. If we look at this, there's 9 on here that are showing, so let's just round up to 10 because that's an even number. Only 2 of those was March 6th, the day I took the snapshot, the first time they'd been to your site. The other 7 have been coming back repeatedly, and so in my mind, you're really doing something right, and the thing that I want to stress to everybody is that this is not random. John works really hard to make sure that he's getting a lot of repeat business. And Casey, from the search engine perspective, would you agree that repeat visitors are better than first-time visitors?
Yeah, absolutely. Google doesn't want you to be a one-and-done kind of site. People show up, they browse around, but then they leave. They want to see that you're coming back. That makes a statement of quality. Whatever you have is worth looking at and returning to over and over again. Those return points are worth far more than just initial volume points.
And so the question becomes, how do you do that? And so that's what we're going to talk about next, because John has been fabulous about this, and he's going to share his secret. Actually ran the numbers, and 42% of all of his visitors on his site have been there before, and that number surprises the heck out of me. I would expect 20% to be very respectable. A lot of times when we do the site analysis, we did one, a couple weeks ago, Casey, that had like 1.2% return visitors. Like nobody ever went back. And what does that say to Google if that's what's happening to your site? It's not good.
Yeah,
and
right.
So,
it basically just means that your site doesn't really have what people are looking for. Anyone can attract you in once, but is what you have worth coming back to?
right. The problem, though, is to expect people to find their way back on their own is kind of like shooting in the dark. You don't really know how that's going to happen. So what John has done, and we've worked with him, I think we've been doing this, 4 or 5 years, is email marketing, which is absolutely fabulous. John uses a program called Constant Contact. What do you pay for that a month, John?
That increases depending on the number of clients you have, obviously. And right now we pay like 120 a month.
Okay.
Something like
and
that.
I think when you first got in, you had under 500, and it was like $20. So
Correct,
as
yeah.
your list grows, but obviously the more people that you're marketing it to, the more valuable. There's also a free service called MailChimp, and Casey, if you could post the link in there, you guys can look at a blog that we did, MailChimp versus Constant Contact. But John uses Constant Contact, and we like that. And I want to show you what that looks like. So this is his email blast, and you notice that it looks like his website. So it's very branded. It has lots of links where people can go in and look at beach things. And then the thing that we found works the best is properties. Trying to send them out recipes or newsletters or restaurant updates. We just don't get good results with that, but we do get really good results with properties. And John, how many do you send out in a month? How many newsletters?
What I found out that this is very important. I mean, I try to send at least once a week at least once a week. I'm trying to do, but you know, I think at least minimum a couple times a month would be the best. You know, I think, because of the time and many things. I think good is like for me once a week, but at least I recommend to do like at least 2 newsletters or email blasts a month.
And when you do these, do you see a spike in your phone calls and your emails coming into the office?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, when we do this, it depends on the properties because sometimes, we have to be careful about what properties are we gonna offer there. But we always get a lot of, once we send this, we get different people contacting us, direct buyers or other agencies telling us that they have a client that could work for, X property or all that. But we always get more action. Absolutely, it's great to do this.
And this really, guys, this is the secret to how John is getting that 42% return traffic, is he's sending these newsletters out and he's inviting people to come back to his site. And he's featuring a specific property each one. And at one point, John, you were featuring a lot of properties. Our recommendation is always 3 per newsletter, but what has your experience been?
I did it like you told me, and it was very good. Once, but one day I wanted to try more, so I tried like 15 or something. But yeah, Kathy, you're right. I mean, in my case, I'll say that more than 10 is too much. It's too much. Maybe the good number is going to be probably 5, 7, I think. And but more than that, I think it's just too much. It's not good. People like get tired of looking at a big page of properties. It's like that. But yeah,
especially on a mobile. And look, guys, at how this number is blue. If I were on a mobile device, I would be able to touch that and it would dial John directly. So that's super important as well. I kind of want to nerd out just a little bit and show you guys some of the statistics that John is getting from this because I think it's pretty eye-opening. Your list, John, 722 is how many people, 7,211 is how many people are on his list. You've been growing that since 2011, right? So 6 years?
Correct, yes.
What's amazing is that 1,728 people opened his email. That's 25%. The industry standard for real estate is 12%. So John is doubling that. And what that tells me is that people like getting it. They like the information. And I think that's phenomenal. The other really interesting thing is that 49% of the people that opened his email did so from a mobile device. So it's really important when you're sending these things out, whether we're doing it for you or you're doing it yourself, that you send a test and you test it on mobile. I don't know if anybody, well, obviously you did. I sent an email yesterday to remind you guys the link for this, and I did it myself, which Casey should never let me do anything myself. I was training a new girl how to do it, and I did it wrong. I had duplicate content, so I don't know if anybody noticed that, but it was pretty funny that, here I am telling people how to do it, and I did it wrong. So always want to test it, and certainly test it on mobile. The other interesting thing was 202 clicks. So you had 11% of the people that opened the email saw something on there that was interesting enough that they wanted to see it. And I want to show you guys what that was. What's great about Constant Contact is that you can see each of the individual links, how many people clicked on that. And so this particular listing, 80% of the people that opened the email and clicked on this listing. And do you remember this, John? Like, what was so great about this house? Why would 161 people have clicked on it?
Which property was that? I don't remember. I don't remember which property was that, but that was
okay. Well, So here's what I would say. I would figure out what that property was, and I'd be promoting that a lot more and figuring out what was done right there and how you could repeat that, because that's a phenomenal, I mean, in my mind, it must have had a great picture, and it was probably well-priced, would be my guess, that many people were willing to click through to it.
Let me say something, Kathy, about that. One of the things that I have seen is that picture is a big issue. I mean, picture, you have to, and the thing is changing. Now everybody wants to see more professional pictures, more and more professional pictures. But obviously I have realized after so many years that obviously the picture is big. I mean, you get a lot of people clicking on it, a lot.
We're getting a question of why you use Constant Contact as opposed to the .2 email blast tool.
I don't know. We just started with that and we stick to it. I mean, I think they have good options, and we can do all we want. And I'm a type of person that I don't like to change and change and change. I really like long relationships, and it's the same thing in my business. In my business, I always try to do the best I can so I can have a long relation. Actually, I have a lot of friends that came, through the business. I have visited a lot of friends that bought properties from us here, and then they invited me to visit them in the United States, for example, and I've been in their house and everything, and things like that. They have invited me to their house, to their own house. They have opened their house for me, and well, they offer me many things. They are friends now, for many years already, and that's what I like, and I try to do that the same with everybody I work with. In the systems I work with, if they are giving me a good service and everything, I just stick to it, and I don't change it.
Well, and I think in answer to your question, Robin, there's a couple of things. One, the Constant Contact just looks 100 times better. The .2 tool is great for drip mail because it's instantaneous. With Constant Contact, there is an extra step. You have to export your leads from .2 and then import it into Constant Contact. But the data that you are able to get out of it is so much more successful. And if we look at John, a couple people are asking, has that house sold? And Casey, maybe you can go back to this and look that one up and see what it was that was so interesting. But John started out with 7,200 people in his database. There's no way he could know which of those would be interested in that house. But the 160 that clicked on it, if he really needs to sell that house, that would be where I would start farming. And you can, just go down that, oopsie, clicked one before I meant to. You can just, especially if you have like 2 or 3 properties in there, this particular one only had 1 property. But you could do each property, and if you've got some people on your staff, you could say, hey, listen, call up these people. They were interested in this property, because you know who it was that did it. Now, the other thing that John does that I think is interesting is about once a year, he has us come in and clean up his Constant Contact, give it sort of a facelift, a makeover, clean out his list, everything, and then you actually do the newsletter yourself. You have somebody that helps you locally with that. Is that correct?
Yeah, I have somebody in my office that helps me with this. And obviously I'm always supervising the work, and then we do it together. Most of the work is done with my team, and then I just do a last check, before we send it, and then we change the last things I think we need to be changed, and then we send it.
Okay. There's a conversation going on that I'm just going to address regarding people opting in or out of your communication. So with the laws changing, it used to be that the default was for people to opt in. Now the default within .2 is people opt out. And so the first time you send an email, if you haven't sent one in years, you're probably going to have a problem. You're going to have a lot of people that don't remember you, that report you as spam, and so you're going to have to manage that very carefully. A lot of times we'll start by just using the most recent leads, so we'll maybe go back to people that have been in contact in the last 6 months. But that's another reason where John's strategy of doing it repeatedly is valuable, because people are remembering, oh, yeah, I remember that guy. I remember what's going on. He's not just getting their information and then, 6 to 8 months later sending him something. So I think if you go with this, it's important that you do it and do it consistently. Okay, the next slide I'm going to laugh about, because the only thing that never changes is the need for change, and John just said he doesn't like change. However, based on your actions, I think you do kind of like change, because...
Yeah, I meant different, Obviously, my website, I really like to change a lot.
Right, you like the same relationship, but yeah, John changes something at least, I don't think you've ever gone more than 2 months without some sort of change, whether that's adding a new page, doing a complete makeover, and now that you're talking about, I now see where you're getting all these ideas of looking at other sites.
Correct.
And how much time do you think you personally spend on website activities between, what you're doing with us, researching other things? What's your investment?
I don't know. I don't know how much, but I really like to surf on the web and look for new stuff, look for new things, new trends, new tools, and then I just go and I go like, what is a nice city? Sometimes I think, okay, let's think about a nice city in the world that many people is attracted to, and let's look for real estate there and let's see what I find. And then I go there, I find different good websites, and there are some others that are really bad. Obviously, that happens to us also for the place we work. I mean, people, even when people is looking for real estate, I'm pretty sure they go to different realtors, and one of the things that people has told me about our website, for example, is that it's very friendly. It's very easy to look for properties. It's very easy to look for what they're looking for, and I think that's just a lot of work we have done with Kathy and all that. But yeah, you spend a lot of time looking at different other websites and copying these websites, and I don't try to copy one website, but I try to implement the good things from one and then from the other and things like that. So I'm not like the same like any other one.
Right, and Casey just brought up that listing, so let's just take a look at it really quick. And John, maybe you can give us some insight as to why you think that was so darn popular and how we could copy your success with that, because anytime you can get that many people to be interested. So 297, so the price was right. Okay,
this was a property with the 80%. The property, believe it or not, is still available. We had a few people interested in put offers on it, but the seller didn't take it. He wants to sell close to this price, and right now the market in Costa Rica is a little slow, and if we have a motivated seller, is gonna sell. However, the offers we got on this property were low offers, and the seller didn't want to take. So he said, I'm just gonna wait more. I'm just gonna wait more until I find the buyer I want.
It's a beautiful property, though. I mean, your pictures are great. Did you take those yourself, or did you have those done?
It's a mix. We took some, and then the seller, he had somebody taking some others. But it's a mix of some that we took. But now we're trying to implement a different way and take only our own pictures.
Okay. The other thing I want to point out, guys, is that John is one of the few sites that actually uses, get back here. There we go. On this home page, many of these properties in his banner are real listings. And how is that working out for you, John?
you know, it's very impressive because people now is trying to fight for them to be on the front page. Now, actually, I have to meet with Kathy and see what I'm going to decide about that because people is trying. I have received different clients asking me, "Hey, I want to be there. I want to be, I want to be in front page. I want to be there. How can I get there?" You know, and things like that. So I will have to work in a strategy because people want to be there. So it's been working a lot, and we get, you know, a lot of people asking us for these properties more than other properties for sure.
And so the pitfall of that, and the reason that more people don't do it is, one, you have to have excellent pictures. These cannot be things that were just snapped on the fly. You've got to have really high quality pictures. And then also you have to be willing to pay to change them out when the property sells. And so it's not just a throw it up there because it's a stock photo and it will be just as current a year from now as it was today. But that was a commitment that John was willing to make, and it sounds like it's paying off.
Yep.
Cool. Okay, so you have to be willing to change. You've got to be willing to, you know, modify your site, see what's going on in the market. The other thing, what are you doing new and exciting for this year, John? What's coming up? I know one particular thing that you and I are working on together would be your video.
That's gonna be pretty nice. We're gonna do the video. I just told you that I want to implement the 360 degrees pictures and see if we can implement it. I don't know if it's possible. We have to check point 2 and all that and see if we can implement it because that's it's still not too common, but I think it's gonna be very, very useful for us, for all the real estate agents. And then obviously the video, I see right now that people even in the social media, you know, we have when I go to when I see something in social media and I see only one picture, that doesn't attract me too much, as you know, as comparing when I see a video. I see a 2-minute video, 1-minute video, whatever. I click on that and then I see it. So I think that is going to play a big, you know, part of our business. People want to see a little bit about that property, and videos. It's gonna be more work, you know, but we have to find a way, and we're gonna be working on that, on the video that we're gonna be doing with Kathy, and then what else? I don't know. I have other ideas that I haven't decided yet, but we're gonna be changing some or a lot of stuff in the website this year.
Well, I love my conversations with John because every conversation, at least 3 times, John says, one more thing. And he's always so enthusiastic and has the next idea. And I know that whatever is on his mind is really what's going to be cutting edge. So the last thing that I want to talk about is connecting with class. And if I had one word to describe John, it would be class. He has been just a phenomenal client, a phenomenal communicator, great human being, and we are honored to have him be with us going on 6.5 years now. And I wanted to show you guys that the reason that John does all this is not for the money. This is the why, correct?
Yes.
His little family. Now this is Daniel, and I don't remember your new baby. What's his name?
Gabriel.
Gabrielle, and then your wife. And do you get to spend a lot of time with them, or are you just working constantly?
No, that's one of my priorities. I work. I have on a schedule. I try to be in my house every day at 5 or 6 p.m. and then you know, try to do the most important things and then go. It's my kids, they grow so fast, and I don't want that time to pass. Just me working and working for them is not my style. I have to spend time with them as much as I can.
Awesome. Well, any last words of advice that you have for everybody before we wrap up? We'll be sending out John's information so that you can sign up. If you sign up on his Point 2 site, then you'll start getting his newsletters. If you have clients that want to buy in Costa Rica, I'm sure that he can help you with that. And then also we'll send out his Facebook link so that you can like him on Facebook. But John, what last words of wisdom do you have for everybody?
I would say just give the best service possible, like personal service. Don't think about somebody that is going to just buy a property and forget about him. It's just try to advise people with the reality of the market. Try to advise people with the reality of each situation, and everybody's going to appreciate that. They're going to keep your name in their minds forever. They're going to love you, and they're going to appreciate your service. Just always try to tell people the good and the bad. Obviously, always focus on the good. Don't focus too much on the bad, but you have to say it. And people are going to love it. And also keep it up with the technology. It's very, very, very important. It's very important, and those are my last things, and it's very important for all of us.
We have one question I think is kind of important. Greg in San Miguel is asking what size your staff is. And I know that that's fluctuated a bit because we've had different people that we've added and taken off of your site. So where are you right now?
Well, right now we are 4 people, but it used to be, I need like 6 people, to be able to serve, in the best way possible. But now I had, just 4 people for now, and they are good. So we're working hard. We have a lot of work.
Good, excellent. Well, thank you so very, very, very much for being here. We have exciting news. John and I are going to do this webinar again. I don't have a date yet. However, we're going to do it in pure Spanish, which freaks me out completely, but I'm really looking forward to it. So any of you Spanish speakers, we'll make sure that we reach out to you. And if you know people, please let them know. If you're going to Costa Rica, for sure look up John. And again, John, your time and your insights are invaluable. Just a couple more things, and then we'll let y'all go. If anybody out there is feeling overwhelmed by all that John has done, please know that he started really, really small. I think, John, wasn't your first website like $750 or something like that?
Yeah, around that.
It was very, very minimal, but the thing was he got his foot in the door. And as you guys saw, I just kept making changes and improvements, and that's really the way to win the game. If you'd like to talk about your cyber goals, Casey, if you'll put the link that you can book a time to talk with us, and that would be a good way to get your foot in the door. And then we have another webinar coming up. Casey's doing a webinar in 2 weeks called Knock Your Socks Off with Google Pay Per Click. So if you've been wondering how to be on the first page of Google, that's a sure way. So Casey will get you the link for that. Make sure you sign up. And we've got cyber celebrity Tim Cavello, which some of you guys have worked with. He's coming to talk to us. So a lot of fun things, and we appreciate all of your time and effort. We didn't have the attendance today that we've had in the past, but wow, we've got some people that have been here time after time after time. So super exciting. Parts of this will be available via recording. I think Casey will have to edit out in the beginning where we were having all those technical difficulties. We appreciate you guys for staying on, and go out there, sell somebody something, have a great day, and we'll see you all in 2 weeks. Thanks, guys. Bye.